So today on the podcast we've got Bec Healy, and Bec Healy is one of our recipients of the MSA Scholarship Fund for 2021, and thankfully our first female on the podcast, which is great. And it's always good to talk to someone that is getting involved in manufacturing, and particularly in such a male-dominated industry that we've got females sort of seeing that that's not too daunting to get into, and is making big strides in continuing Australian manufacturing. So Bec, if you can first of all maybe give us a little bit of a background about yourself and how you came to be involved in the plastics industry.
Yeah, sure. Look, and thanks for having me on as well. It's it's an exciting opportunity, and gosh, where did it start for me? Look, I have a background of government, so I did 15 years working for our local government, just administration, and I have always sort of had that internal desire, I suppose, to be able to support our environment and to be able to somehow reduce waste in some area. And so it's probably a good 5 years ago now, I started tinkering around at home with plastic waste and did a few small business courses and set up my 3D printer, and it just grew from there. I ended up enrolling in TAFE. I was still working for government at this period of my journey, and I enrolled in the Polymer Technology course at TAFE, and that was just 1 day a week, and we were in the factory, which was fantastic, very hands-on, into the testing labs, got to work on the injection mold machines, learned a lot about the chemistry of polymers, and they also really supported me to delve more into my, just very high level ideas around how to manage plastic waste in Australia, and what could we do better to remanufacture this plastic rather than it going to landfill.
So that was your main driver, was it? The recycling aspects of what you could do with that waste and how you could actually remanufacture it, is that right?
That's right, yes.
Okay. So what drew you to plastics? Was there something in your life that sort of said, oh well, there's all this wasted plastic that you could take advantage of?
That's a good question, actually. I think there's a lot of good technology around recycling of other materials like the steel, glass, and plastics are a relatively new commodity, and I think there's more and more publicity around the damage that it's doing to our environment, particularly the single-use plastic. And I think that's sort of I just couldn't stand to see all the waste, I suppose. So that's sort of why I thought to tackle the plastic waste issue in Australia.
So how do you go from, because I've seen on your Instagram that you collect bumper bars. What's the process of turning a bumper bar into another product?
Oh gosh, to join a few of the dots from TAFE to collecting car bumper bars. So through that TAFE journey, I identified a plastic waste stream that was an issue in Australia, and that's automotive plastic waste. And I learnt how to recycle and remanufacture that waste back into products. And so after my TAFE course was finished, I founded a not-for-profit social enterprise called Boxhead Plastics, and our aim is to support the Australian automotive industry, divert more of its plastic waste from landfill. And so that was founded last year, 2021. I finished TAFE in 20. And so last year predominantly has been spent selling our products, which is the Glof Tees. We manufacture Glof Tees out of automotive plastic waste, mainly polypropylene car bumper bars. Towards the end of last year, we realised that selling Glof Tees, whilst it's great and it's a good story starter, and a talking point about plastic waste and what can be done with it. We weren't really diverting too much plastic waste from landfill through that one product, so we realised there was a pain point in the industry where it was actually collecting and transporting this plastic waste to a recycler in a lot of areas, particularly in our area, where there's just not that access for the smash repairers and the panel beaters to be able to appropriately dispose of their car bumper bar waste. So that's sort of where our car bumper bar collection program started with trials, and that's turned into the Autoplas program, where we basically just drive a truck around and collect car bumper bars and take them to our recycler.
Is there any government incentives that you can collect from, I guess recycling? Do you know about any of that?
Yes, there is a lot to tap into. However, we're relatively small still, and they do look for larger facilities that are diverting hundreds and thousands of tons of plastic waste from landfills. So we're sort of a little bit in the middle there, where we're big enough to show that we're commercially viable, but we're not big enough that we're diverting large amounts of plastic waste. But this year we're going to concentrate more on that, particularly petitioning to our local councils to be able to get maybe some sort of rebate program from the collection. That's just high level thinking. Yeah.
And do you think that, is there any way that we can use, basically your winning of the scholarship to initiate some of that, particularly for the people who are coming in like yourself, smaller entrepreneurial businesses that are starting to look at this sort of waste recycling, and particularly into Australian manufactured products? Is there anything that we can do to leverage that to help you?
Yeah, so as you've already mentioned, last year we were one of the lucky recipients of the grant, and what that has allowed myself in particular do is to be able to go back and upskill to be able to be a more sustainable manager of Boxhead Plastics. So at the moment, whilst recycling plastics sounds really good, it's actually quite, in itself, it is, effective on the environment. Of course, we're running machinery, we're, using power, water, of fuel, diesel, collection, all that sort of stuff, running factories. So for us, we want to look at how we can be more sustainable, and our own waste as well, of course, as waste on our end too, to be able to sustainably manage the Boxhead Plastics. So yeah, that it has been incredibly welcomed to have a little bit of infusion of funding to be able to skill myself up, and in turn be able to then, already I've been able to pass on a lot of my knowledge through social media and face-to-face and one-on-one meetings with others that are looking to go down this path of plastic recycling, and it'll be able to further my skills as well to be able to pass that knowledge on to others.
So what is the training that you're choosing to do with the funds that you've received from MSA?
So I've enrolled in a 2-year course, Sustainable Management, and it's a Diploma of Sustainable Management, Sustainable Practices, and there we'll learn, I haven't started yet, but from what I understand from speaking to our educators, there's a lot of sort of skills around sustainable management of businesses, HR, people, waste. I'm sure that course will really enhance my knowledge, and I mean I'm not doing it any justice at all. I've had meetings with the educators and they're very, very knowledgeable, and it sounds very, very exciting, but off the top of my head, trying to recall it all.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you haven't actually gone into the program to know exactly what it contains.
Yes.
But I'm sure that's you've chosen that on the basis of, particularly, the method of going from what's deemed as a waste product into something that's recyclable and then remanufacturable in Australia. What about your partnerships with other parts of industry? Because obviously you don't own a plastics company per se. How did you go about connecting with those people so you could remanufacture these products?
That's a good question. So yeah, we have been able to sort of establish a chain of relationships that has enabled us to be able to collect the car bumper bars, and the relationships there that we're building with the smash repairers, and then have them recycled. So we don't actually recycle ourselves. A local recycling company recycles them, JK Plastics. Or when I say recycle, he and his team just shred them down, flakes it down, and then that flake is then taken to another local recycler that pelletizes it. So it needs to be in a form that can be put back into the injection mold machines. So yeah, and then finally we've sought out some local contractors as well that have been able to use our molds, our dyes, and manufacture the product for us. So it is our plan to own our own factory and be able to manufacture ourselves, but just launching last year, we're still very much in startup stages.
Yeah. And how did you find the reception that you got from industry, being a woman with these sort of, ambitions to enter into the industry and to do what you're doing?
Yeah, it's tough. And predominantly our injection moulders, whilst they're very open-minded, and I have received incredible amounts of support thus far, they're still predominantly using virgin plastics and virgin resins.
That's all right. It's it's part of unfortunately having to work at home and juggle everything at the same time. That's life.
I can't even remember what the question was now.
That's all right. I think we're talking about basically the challenges of
being a woman in industry.
Yeah,
male dominant industry. Sort of, I suppose it seems to me a little bit like plastic recycling and manufacturing with recycled plastics is still a little bit of a fancy sort of, new age concept. So I think, it can be tough sometimes to sort of really stand by what what my values are and why our company actually exists, and to keep on going forward with that. But and sort of knowing when to say things and when not to say things. I certainly have had my fair share of abuse from others, or people probably think, oh, there's that Bec Healy again. She's calling me again to annoy me. But no, I really, and I have lent on the industry a lot, particularly those that have gone before me. Like this afternoon, I'm going to go down to our contractors and I'm just going to stand there with John as he puts the mould in and help him put the mould in and ask him about, this is a new product that we're running. And he's been in the industry for probably 30, 40 years, whereas I'm only 3 years. So to continue to tap into that knowledge and really listen, because I am going to be 42. I am going to be the next generation of manufacturers.
Yeah. And obviously the volume of product that you're putting through some of these companies isn't huge at the moment. How are they tackling that? Are they accommodating with the smaller runs?
Yeah, so we're lucky in the sense that, we have received support. So for our Glof Tees, they are doing smaller runs for us, and we provide them with our feedstock as well. And that's been a little bit of trial and error for them. to manufacture a quality product out of that low grade plastic. So, but yeah, it has taken a while to sort of really get the right fit for us and for the contractors. So we have shopped around, I suppose, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
But we've got a great manufacturer here locally in Hornsby who's they do great work, and they're doing great work for us, and they're really supporting us. We pay them, of course.
Yeah. And collecting your bumpers from the panel beaters, or wherever you're getting them from, are they just giving them to you at the moment, or are they charging you to take them away, or what?
So we've been running trials last year because it is to test to be able to be a financially viable business. We have a board, and we have an advisory board, thank God, because I'm no businesswoman, and they really do advise me on, okay, yeah, I mean, we are a not-for-profit social enterprise, but we need to make a profit, and whilst those profits go back into the business for us to grow. So last year we did 4 trial runs in different vehicles, doing different loads and different amounts to really see what works and what doesn't. And then we had support from UTS students to brand that collection program, Autoplas, and really bring that story to life. And so this year I did a collection yesterday. You can see I'm all bashed up. Those bumper bars. Got to put your punching gloves on. So we did get our first paying customer yesterday. But yes, we will have to charge to collect that plastic waste because it costs us to collect.
Yeah.
And that amount of plastic waste doesn't transfer back into our products because we've only got small products and a small customer base. So it's not that sort of, there's a misconception around, oh, well, you're making money off these plastic car bumper bars that you're collecting from us, so why do we need to pay? Well, that's not true. Actually, it costs us money for labour, hire the truck, tolls, petrol.
Yeah. So I guess even sending them to landfill is going to be a cost for those businesses anyway, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've done all our research around that. So yeah, we've contacted the 5 major collection companies, and it averages at about $3.34 per car bumper bar to go into landfill, and that's an average taken, and that's a little bit rubbery, of course, because different smash repairers have different arrangements, and that's just based on the bumper bars being cut up. So that's like 10 car bumper bars to a cube.
Yeah.
And we are charging $2 to collect.
Yeah. Okay. And at the moment, you're just picking up the whole bumper bar and then taking it to the guy who's shaving it down for you. Is that how that works?
Yep.
Okay. And do they do that for other businesses as well, or what's the go with that company?
So they have their own collection service as well, and they already have all the machinery there and the lines there that they recycle all sorts of stuff, drums and a lot of other different plastics or other commodities. But yeah, they do the car bumper bars as well themselves. So they are set up to take the car bumper bars. Not all recyclers would take them.
So Autoplas is the collection side of the business, is that right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the other products, so your Glof Tees and some other things that you're looking at the moment, that you're developing a market for. Where do you see all of that going? Are you looking at making moulds for yourself and all those sorts of things? What sort of products can we see in the future from Boxhead?
Yeah, so as you know, we've got the native Glof Tee, and we're just running some trials now for the coasters, and I'll have to do all our business plans around that, of course. Products, look, the opportunities are endless, but the costs associated with the tooling and a lot of the labour that goes behind it, all the market research and development of those, and all the testing and R&D, it's very, very expensive. So look, we really would like to be able to get as many products out onto the market to bring in revenue and profit, to be able to afford us to be able to then buy our own injection mould machine and own some more of our own tooling and be able to provide employment to those that are at a distance to the labour force, particularly locally, and support women in manufacturing. I'd really like to be able to pass these skills on to other women, and just to show them that it is possible and it's fun and it's enjoyable and it's fulfilling. It's not a dead end job. It's, you know, it has purpose and meaning.
And from your application, I remember reading that you were a winner in another awards. Can you tell us anything about that?
The TAFE award?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was Student of the Year in my category for Advanced Manufacturing and Robotics and Science. So that was 2020 TAFE Awards, TAFE Excellence Awards. And that really gave me a lot of publicity as well and a lot of recognition. So I really highly recommend the TAFE Institute. It's such a good learning facility, and it's got a good mix of classroom and hands-on, which really suits somebody like myself, you know, that wants to sort of get in there and do stuff rather than just sit in the classroom and listen. So yeah, and there's so many, it has built the foundations to really step me up into being able to be the founder of Boxhead Plastics, and it's really connected me with a lot of industry partners and a lot of people in industry to be able to, you know, my TAFE course hasn't ended and that's been it. I've really been able to stay connected with the TAFE institution, as well as really lean on all the connections that I've made through TAFE to be able to help us continue to grow the business and myself personally.
Yeah. So your program in sustainability that you plan to start this year is going to go for 2 years. Can you see what might happen in the future past that? You're going to do further training. What sort of do you think you'll need beyond that?
I mean, I think I'll forever be learning. Pardon me. Certainly, if we are to, really fulfil our goals as far as having our own injection mould machines and manufacturing ourselves. 2 years at TAFE has given me a really good start, but to continue to learn in that space, I'll have to, I would say, I mean, I'm going to be learning obviously for the rest of my life, and even when I'm, you know, passing on these skills, I'm learning as well. And with the sustainability too, you know, how to sustainably run and manage a business. I think that also, and as new technologies come out as well, and new ideas and new approaches, and you know, working with other students, we've had great opportunities working with students from UTS, King's Own Institute, other students through Practera. So I envisage that we would have a factory and a learning hub as well, and really be leading the way, I suppose, in manufacturing automotive plastic waste in Australia, and having an impact on what is really, I mean, what it's like 1.9% recycle rate of the automotive plastic waste in Australia at the moment, and really having a visible impact on that.
And you talked about your support and the industry support. Have you had any mentors, female mentors, or have they all been men, or how's it work for you?
My board is, we've got 4 on my board, and they are all men. And on that's my advisory board. And then on our company's board, there's 2 women and as well as 3. There's myself, and then 1 male, and then the committee is sort of made up of 50-50 as well. So obviously we have committee meetings and we talk about all things business.
Yeah.
So that is something that has sort of stuck in the back of my mind a little bit around, particularly, the mentors in the industry and business mentors, and sort of tapping into, more of the women mentors. I don't know, they've either got their own mentees or they're busy with family, and I know what it's like for me, I'm so busy. So...
And do you think that it is important to have those female mentors, or do you think you could do it without them?
Oh no, I mean, it's just a different level of understanding with the women, and especially I was conversing with somebody else the other day from Purple Card. She's just founded a business there in startup, and she was saying, we were talking, she said, let's just have a chat. She said, I just need to talk about the juggling act, the juggling act. I'm dropping off our 3-year-old at daycare this morning, and then I'm coming back home and quickly trying to tidy the house, and then I'm trying to answer some emails, and then the car needs to be booked in for a service, and then, oh my gosh, what am I going to do for dinner tonight? And I'm going up to my parents' house, and then I'm like, I need like 9 hours to sit down and get to my emails and work. I'm going to the factory, and it's, I don't know. I don't know whether it's just different priorities, I think, come into play, being a female and sort of trying to be in business.
And I think, speaking from a male's perspective, the majority of us, we don't think about that. We focus pretty much on work and just go and do it, and we leave all that up to you. So that's it's pretty enlightening, I think, for the listeners to understand that women have that much more on their plate. Although in modern society we hope those things are shared, but generally it sort of falls back to the mum to look after the kids, and then you've got schoolwork and all that other stuff that goes along with that. So,
and working from home doesn't help, because I'm sitting at my computer and then I'm like, I've got to put a load of washing on. So it'll only take a minute, but all those little minutes add up during the day.
I know. For me, because I work from home as well, I absolutely understand that. You're preparing dinner, or you're doing all these other things while you're trying to do your day's work.
I think everybody gets that at the moment.
COVID has really brought that home to bear, I think, hasn't it? And some people would really be urging, wanting to get back into the office or back into the workplace. To get away from that distraction, I think, in some cases. Okay, so just want to have a brief chat with you about, the process of the manufacturing scholarship and the grant that was given to you by us. And congratulations.
Thank you.
There was only 8 recipients this year, and we've only got limited funds, so it's quite hard to. I think we had about 30 applicants, so unfortunately there were 20 odd people who didn't get funded. So I'm very sorry, but the money doesn't go as far as it should, and a lot of them were, pretty high quality applications as well. So, and that says a lot to your application. So. Congratulations. So, what would you tell someone, for 2022, we're about to open the grant again. What would you say about the application process?
Oh, look, I mean, I found it quite straightforward. For me, I've applied for a number of other grants, and they really do haul you over the coals. It's a very arduous task to undertake. So I found applying for the Manufacturing Skills Australia grant, it was just very straightforward. That's what I probably can say about it. Being able to contact administration and ask any questions was very easy. Response times were quick, and it was. I think for me it was really all about just getting to the point. Manufacturing Skills Australia wasn't asking for much, but that small amount that they were asking for, I felt for myself I really needed to nail it just in that small amount of time spent, both the video and also making some written words behind that. So I found the process seamless. It was quite straightforward, and I mean, I don't want to use the word easy. That's such a terrible word, isn't it? It was sort of fluid. It flowed, and it just happened. It was.
Yeah. So the process was a 1 to 2 minute video to camera.
Yep.
So, and this is what we really want, is someone to get in front of their phone and just give us a little bit of background about who they are and what they need.
Yep.
And then a couple of paragraphs written down.
Yep.
Which is the initial process. So it's really about selling yourself in that couple of minutes. And then we go, because we get so many applications, we can't sort of go through chapter and verse of a huge volume. But
Yes.
And unfortunately, the people who are quite good at marketing themselves will probably catch our eye to start with. And we don't want an over-processed marketing piece. Something quick and succinct to camera is what we're looking for. And then, the process after that, if you make that first cull, the first shortlist, where we're saying, well, we think that you're in with a chance. And like I said, we had 30 plus applications to start with. I think there was only 1 or 2 that we said, we didn't want any more information from. So they didn't make the second round. And in that second round, we asked you for more information, to give you media release forms and all those sorts of things, and more succinct about how, when and where you're going to actually spend and how much money you need.
Yep.
So that process is pretty straightforward. And then from then on, if you make the cull, and we have a panel of volunteers, and we had someone on our panel that has a strong background in plastics. So they were really aware of what you were doing and how you were doing it. So that was a great advantage, I guess, to you. I guess the challenge that I have as someone who's promoting the scholarship is because we are very open to a number of different opportunities. How were you able to see yourself in the frame of what we're asking?
Oh gosh. Yeah, you know what? Actually, when I read through the other winning applicants, that actually, I learned something from that. I was like, wow, manufacturing. Like, I had this image in my mind of just, a factory and machinery. That was manufacturing.
Yeah.
So it goes to show how much I know. When I looked through, and there was sort of, all the textiles industries and all this sort of, I was like, oh, wow, like it's so broad and roomy.
Yeah.
So how did I see myself fitting in it? That was just my image of manufacturing. I'm like, I'm using machinery, I'm in a factory, I'm manufacturing, I have a product. I've been to TAFE and learnt about it. So, but yeah, no, I think I could encourage anybody to, even if you think even slightly you might feel like you might fit into that, just, put in a question, send an email, make a phone call, and just ask, tell them what you're doing and what you're about. I was surprised to see at the end, really the broad spectrum of Australian manufacturing. I've got a lot to learn about Australian manufacturing.
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, we're all a bit like a frog in a pot in some ways.
Yeah.
We don't realise what's going on around us. We only see what's in front of us, and that's part of our task, is about, and MSA's goal is to have informed and demanding consumers of vocational education and training that is orientated towards Australian manufacturing. And you're right, it is very broad. And we go everything from jewellers, people who are involved in plastic manufacturing, and unfortunately I think the majority of the public think that manufacturing all comes in a box from China. I think there's quite a vibrant manufacturing sector in Australia, and the opportunities are endless. Everything from engineering, design, as you said, textiles, clothing, footwear, manufacturing. The design element was, I think, the sort of theme of last year. We haven't yet made up our mind about what the theme will be this year, but we're trying to make sure that we can get as many applicants in there as possible. And the bigger challenge, I think, is getting people to think about how they develop themselves, what the opportunities are, and from our board's perspective, we really keep an open mind and say, well, manufacturing is important to us, and we want to support it as much as we possibly can. So, is there anything that you think we could improve with our process?
Yeah, look, just to touch on that point as well about, that's what I really liked about this application was it's not, this is my understanding, it's not a handout to get your business started. But yeah, it's a support tool to further our skills and our education in our field of manufacturing, and that I think that is really important for Australian manufacturing, particularly as I would imagine we're steering away from the overseas imports and trying to do more of it ourselves. Where you could improve, for me, I probably think advertising it a little bit more.
How did you find out about it?
Somebody from TAFE sent it to me.
Oh.
One of the head teachers from TAFE, from the Polymer section actually, sent it to me and said, oh, you might want to look at applying for this. So that's how I actually found out about it. But when I tried to research it, I couldn't find any of the past winners.
Yeah.
Because usually when I'm applying for a grant, I'll contact past winners and say, what's your advice? How did you find the process? Any key tips or tricks? The Facebook, I think, and the Instagram could probably be, or one of the major social medias. There wasn't a lot on the Facebook.
The grant had been going for 2 years, and we'd been grappling with how the process was going to go. Unfortunately, I'm the only one that sort of does. I've got to do all my day-to-day work and then do this as well. So I'm a little bit like you in some ways, juggling a lot of balls at once. So my bad. I need to up my game around social media, and probably we need to make a little bit of investment from MSA's perspective around promotion of social media for this, and hopefully part of this podcast will be that. And I'll also, I think, approach the rest of the recipients and say to them all, please promote amongst their networks as well again this year. Good idea. And we've only selected, I think, 3 people to do podcasts with, and that's a bit of time management stuff, and we've got a broad range of industry that we're doing that for. And I'd like to thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's been great. Having a chat. This is, like I said, this is the first one that we've had with a grant recipient, which is fantastic, and we hope to do more of them, and we'd like to follow you in your successes in the future, and if any way we can help you again. And like I said, there's no exclusion. You've won the grant once, that doesn't exclude you from in the future, in your future development. If you wanted to make another application, you're quite welcome to. We're always interested in companies that are doing good things, and any way that we can promote your organisation or co-promote our organisations, that would be fantastic. Yep. Yeah, no, it's very worthwhile. Thank you for having me on your podcast, and for the boost up as well. All right, Bec, thanks very much. Thank you. Really appreciate it, and hope to have a chat in the future. Thank you. Cheers.